Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Swiss Army Dan coming at you with a Swiss Army knife video, and I was just gonna ask you guys if I can borrow a knife. Ha ha ha, I'm just kidding. Hey, today I wanted to talk about different logos and stamps and kind of emblems that you'll find on Swiss Army knives. Again, there's a disclaimer, this is by no means a comprehensive collection of different logos and stamps, but I think I have a few here and enough to kind of show you some differences and kind of collectors facts that I thought were interesting. So most of these are Victorinox. I did include some Wengers today to show you some differences with their products too. So I'm gonna start. Let's just start, in kind of chronological order. Most of my collection is going to be like from the 60s until today. I just missed like a 50s Woodsman, which is like the old Huntsman, that had the exposed rivets and everything. It was so cherry, so sweet, and I missed out on that bit today. But see, I do set limits for myself. Anyway, that's funny. So I just wanted to show you. Here's a couple old Victorinox Swiss Army knives from the 60s. And you see, here's the emblem. If you notice right around here, that little line that connects it to the crest here, to the cross, it's pretty thin. The other thing about these inlays on the 60s, they're nickel silver. Today they're aluminum when they're doing the inlay. So I think you see it there, pretty clear. I'll just do a quick comparison to an inlay you'll find today. Here is a Spartan that's made in the past probably 5 years. And you see, this is a very small difference here, but the line connecting it to the crest is just a little bit thicker. Maybe just a tad different shape to that crest. But overall, it really hasn't changed too much in that past 50 years. Those are the two. I'll get one that's not, those nylon scales to kind of show you. Here, I think this one was made in the past probably 10 years here. And that's the two side by side. You notice the different color because the different metals. And just to look, this is an 84 millimeter. Let me grab a 91 millimeter to show you those two. And again, you're seeing that's just a little bit thinner on these old ones. And then the difference in the color. Overall, there's not a lot of difference. You see there's a little bit different point here on the crest. This is more rounded. A little bit more rounded overall, and this is a little bit pointier. Overall, not a whole, I'm really splitting hairs there. Not a big difference. And those are like the pretty standard Victorinox stamps you'll see. I'll show you this one here. Now this is, you notice quickly a difference. It's a different shape. Looks more like that Swiss shield. Looks a little bit closer maybe to that shape than the regular Victorinox. But this is a hot stamp that they use for the economy models in the 70s and probably early 80s. And I'll show you the difference between that and then a later economy model. This is probably from the 90s or maybe even 2000s. But you see that economy stamp, it just got a little bit thinner. This one's fatter, maybe a little bit bigger. The cross is a little bit thinner on there. This one just seems like a more robust stamp than that one. This is a mid-70s, probably economy camper. And this is an economy Spartan, probably from the 90s or early 2000s. Here's another one from that era, and it's just white. You see, those will probably be about exactly the same there. They also do that stamp on their Eco line. Their matte nylon scales like this. Here's the 84mm version. Here's the 91mm version. They didn't start doing these kind of scales until 1994, and they're super durable. They're a favorite among collectors. You know, I've kind of noticed because they are so durable. But they always did the stamp on those. You won't find, as far as I know, an inlay on these nylon scales. Compare that to the stamp on these. They're using that shield style, and they're using more of like that classic Victorinox emblem on the nylon. Same thing with these old pocket pals. They used to only be the stamp. Then now, I'm not sure exactly when, but now they do offer these and the inlay instead of just the stamp. Victorinox also kind of made their own custom logos, which I think are super cool. Here's a couple examples of the camping logo that you'll find on some of their knives. This is the older inlay. This is the newer hot stamp. Really cool. I think whoever did that camping logo for them, good job. Just like kind of timeless, classic, instant classic piece, I think. Maybe it's just because I've been seeing them for a long time. I've got another video just on this one, but this is a limited run I think they did for this passenger. I don't know what else you can find this Alpinier logo on, but I bet it's on another knife. I bet it's not just the passenger. But maybe it is. Who knows? That's a really sweet logo, though. That is custom Victorinox. That's all them. Pretty sweet. Next is the Fisherman. And what a cool logo on there. It's the koi fish. I did notice on these, there's a slight difference in just the way this inlay is. The lines are deeper and darker on this one than this one. I'll just look at the end of that fin there at the end. Let's see if it'll focus. Compare that one to this one. They're just a little bit different. I don't think it's just being carried either, but you know, the lines are bigger in this one. I mean, it looks like they're from the same age. The only difference between these two is a corkscrew and a Phillips. But they're both fishermen, I'd say, from that mid-70s era with that obvious kind of patina on the inlays here. They're turning almost that gold color. And that's a way to determine. This is an aluminum inlay, and I have no idea. If anybody has any idea what this means, I want to say, you know, at this time, they didn't do too many of these inlays with the Vic emblem on the front too. So I want to say it's like a Victorinox, you know, incarnation, but it's probably a special one that he did for someone. But there's a lot of these out there. You know, it's not like just like one of those Ford Motor Company or whatever ad sacks that you see, ad Swiss Army knives that you see. So, and I've seen this on several different models too, so I'm still really curious about exactly what is behind this symbol. Yeah, here's some older ones, and you'll kind of notice with these, I don't know how good it's going to come across the video. There's different kind of shades to this red. And I think they were kind of like, you know, experimenting with different colors and shades for that celluloid for a while. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And these are all tourists, I think, from the early 70s. I did notice, you know, back in the day, it seems like they did these really nice nickel silver inlays for companies. Sometimes they didn't even put their own logo on the back at all. Other times they did. You know, I've got a couple more of these on the way too. One's in German. It says like, what is it? Wanderverein Laufen, something like that. I think it's like a hiking club, but it's a tourist from the 70s and its original new box that I got on the way. So I'm super excited about that. I really like collecting these old tourists. It seems like they were a big deal in Switzerland and Germany back in the day, like it was like a go-to for companies to get this tourist and then have an inlay on it. But yeah, cool knives. This one's from Switzerland too. You know, if you watch my other videos, you've probably seen this one before. But I do notice, I think back in the day, well, I say back in the day, but I'm saying like, you know, 80s, you know, early 90s and before that, especially 70s and 80s, you'll see some really awesome custom inlays on these knives. Here's one for Nagra. And I think it's a Polish dude that moved to Switzerland and then started a company. Then they produce audio equipment for movies. You know, recording sound for movies. But anyway, it's from Switzerland too. No keyring on this one. I just like how these little things are unique. Yeah, and there's a newer inlay on a soft touch plus scale ruby. And here's another example of those inlays I was talking about. I think this is kind of an older Rambler, and it's got the inlay. And here's like a newer, well, I guess a Manager, but it's basically a Rambler, and it's got just like the screen print on there. That's more common these days. Here's a newer Vic. I think it's newer. Yeah, it doesn't have the Ross Fry on it, and it's just screen printed on there, but it's neat. I noticed like on this one, I think this is Ross Fry. I think at one point they decided to make this red more of like a wine red color. Here's a little bit older Pioneer 2, and I'm pretty sure the Sun didn't just do this. I think they went with a deeper wine red at one point for these stamps. Same thing with the Soldiers. You know, I didn't get another one out, but like I have like a newer Wenger, and it's more of a wine red than this kind of bright, you know, almost brick red or fire engine red here. They changed from this stamp, this logo, to this logo, I think in 1999. But before, you know, there's different colors of these. Like here's a green one, and there's red, and a bunch of other different colors they did for special runs. But usually it was red and silver were the most widely available. But they went from that, they called this the Old Cross, to that standard Victorinox emblem in around 1999 from what I understand. One other stamp, or like, you know, kind of emblem you'll see is that Waffenkontrolle stamp that the Swiss military, when they inspected these, they put the stamp on there to say it passed. And then, you know, the ones that they didn't send to the military didn't get stamped, and the extra scales they had left over after they no longer needed to stamp them, you know, you'll find the blank ones here. So the civilian versions and the, you know, post-stamp period will have that blank one on there. And then after that, they just went to no plate there for the stamp. Almost done here. I'll just do a couple of these quick fingers. You know, it's hard for me to find, and here's the Edelweiss, and you'll see they put that kind of Old Cross style on these Edelweiss Classic SDs, which I think is cool. So there's still your Victorinox emblem there. There's Swiss emblem. It's hard to find a Wenger that's the same. I mean, I don't collect many of them, but each one of these is different. This one's got a black lining, you know. This one is just a hot stamp. This one looks like this one, but it's a little metal inlay. And this one's just, you know, a little bit simpler than this one without that different red in there. And Wenger has a bunch more, you know, a bunch more emblems and logos that you can go through. But hey, I just wanted to show you, I mean, this is just a little chunk of what you can find with these knives, and just another example of why they're so darn collectible. But I appreciate you guys tuning in again to another Swiss Army Dan video. Remember just to be real nice to each other. Enjoy life all you can. Swiss Army Dan's gonna let you go. I'm out.